Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush. What did we do? We said, when I asked you that question about, okay, Tony or Beneil, right? First, I said, not analytics, not the real, deal. We're really diving into this. Just give me your perspective as a fan. And both of us as fans says, El Cucui's going to do it, bro. What are you talking about? Dude's got a savage mindset. Imanari rolls, shades and blades. Come on, you know what I'm saying? And even when I see him walking out, hyped up, coming out to the breakdancing music and whatnot, I was like, oh, okay, El Cucui's back. And then the fight happened. And Beneil Dariush did what Beneil Dariush does, man. I talked about how he's one of the most respected fighters in the UFC right now in terms of top control, right? And that's really all he had to do. He didn't even need to do and win the striking contest with him because he knew I could just hold him on the ground. There's nothing he can do. Let me ask you, AJ, what do you think now about, this is a big narrative going on. They're saying Tony Ferguson lacks the basics, right? A lot of fundamentals, saying he was able to get away with some things due to his athleticism when he was younger, but now that he's older, and let me tell you, when he was bouncing around and the gray hair is starting to show and he's doing that, I was like, damn, this is an old El Cucuy, you know what I'm saying? Now that he's a little bit older, the narrative is that he's not able to get away with some of the stuff he did when he was younger because he lacks those fundamentals. Give me your take on that. Do you think that's true? Do you think that there's any merit to that? What do you think?
I mean, there's definitely merit to the statement, like the first thing that goes is definitely your speed. Your power is always the last thing to go. And Tony Ferguson, that athleticism played a lot into his game, especially with how quirky and how fast movement he had and that kind of weird, awkward style. But it's like a blanket statement for every single person around. Yes, that's 100% true. The older you get, the less active you get. But for Tony Ferguson, it's hard to say because, like you said, he came out swinging. He came out hot, ready. I think the biggest problem he faced more so that I was seeing, not necessarily a lack of basics, but a lack of necessity to get off his back. Like he was cool with playing the game, man. He was cool with playing the jiu-jitsu game, which we've seen another meta for the UFC, man, is position over submission. And he just wasn't able to get up, wasn't able to put any effort, or what he was putting effort, wasn't able to show that he was actually controlling any sort of the fight. So it's almost an easy judgment for the judges to say, like you were on your back the whole time, bro. You didn't win. So as far as going to that, he lost his athleticism and it lacks the basics in order to not depend too heavily on them. That's kind of a reach for me, my man. That's kind of a reach. You're telling me a guy who's been fighting in the UFC for 11 plus years. I don't even know how many years Tony Ferguson is, but I know it's longer than a decade. Doesn't know how to throw a straight right or the straight left, or it sounds kind of shoddy for outside judgment to say that this dude lacks the basics, because being a basic striker is actually a compliment. If you have the basics down, that's a good thing. Like that basics win championships, my man. So I think it's a bit of a stretch personally. What do you think?
Well, I'm with you. I think it's what have you done for me lately? You're on a 3-fight losing streak, and then what happens? Yeah, all of a sudden you don't know how to fight. But I do think that the comment does have merit in terms of lacking basics because of some of the jiu-jitsu submission defense that was lacking. You know what I mean? Moving certain ways when you probably should have moved the other way in terms of getting out. He tried to do this like escape from the backside from Beneil Dariush, and Dariush just stuffed it easy. Like, I thought that Dariush had a little more trouble against Fajeda than he did against Tony Ferguson in terms of the jiu-jitsu scrambles, right? So I think that's kind of more what they're talking about, is because he doesn't have the athleticism to kind of explode and just get away. It's like, all right, well, now you got to use your technicality. You got to use your, technical abilities to be able to escape. And, we just haven't seen it. And there was another statistic that popped out that said that Tony Ferguson has landed like a combined 34 significant strikes over his last 30 minutes in the cage, which is another one where it's just like, okay, well, we're not seeing the offense that we used to see. We're not seeing the volume you put up against RDA. You know what I mean? The last time Tony Ferguson had real volume was against Justin Gaethje, and he was getting pieced up the entire fight. So, unfortunately, man, it's the end of an era is what it appears to be for El Cucuy, man. But I will say this. You got to respect the man for what he did in the time that he did it, man. But I do have to just kind of point this out lastly. It makes me just wonder this, and I don't want to even be hard on anybody or anything like this, but it just makes me wonder, could he have actually beaten Khabib? You know what I mean? Or were we just overzealous and overhyped as fans? Just give me your take, because then let's talk about Beneil Dariush. He's the winner here, so let's talk about him. But just give me your take. Do you think?
I mean, now, no chance. Yeah. But when they were first slated to fight, and because the fight got rescheduled, 7 times?
Yeah.
So, young Tony, I mean, I think that was the biggest thing, because back then, he had that awkward style. And I actually agree with what you're saying about the non-explosiveness coming off the back and just didn't have the right technique for the jiu-jitsu. And maybe, I mean, I still, back in the day, I think 100% yes, he would have been able to do it. Tony Ferguson now with, 29-0 Khabib? Nah, probably not, man. It's hard to say.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. And that's just the one thing that's going to be the big what if that we never got to see in mixed martial arts, man. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way that it rolls, man. It's the way the cookie crumbles.